Tonight, concern over the closure of a Regina medical clinic. The FSIN denies any wrongdoing after a recent audit. And the city is set to put money into developing the old Taylor Field site.
Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
Good evening. A Regina medical clinic designed to keep patients out of emergency rooms will close next month. The Gardens Community Health Center opened back in 2018 with extended hours and a multidisciplinary team of healthcare professionals. But as Wayne Mantica tells us, an inability to recruit doctors is forcing the clinic to cease operations.
The Gardens Community Health Center was the first of its kind in Saskatchewan. Through a partnership with the SHA, the clinic offered a more comprehensive suite of services than a traditional physician's clinic. Now, 7 years after opening, a sign in the window says the clinic will cease operation at the end of November. The NDP estimate that 5,000 patients will be left without a family physician.
Now, the Sask Party has a choice here today. They can step up and do the right thing and do everything in their power to keep this clinic open in 2 months' time, or they can continue to fail Saskatchewan people.
During the 2018 clinic opening ceremony, the government said it would budget $4.3 million in the first year to support the clinic and a seniors house call team. $3 million would be allocated in subsequent years through the SHA partnership. 30 positions would be created.
There are 5,000 patients that we have heard at this clinic who are losing their family doctor. That is adding on to the 200,000 people in this province who don't currently have a family doctor. And that means that people are going to now end up in urgent care centers. They're going to end up at emergency rooms.
The SHA says programs it offered in conjunction with the clinic will continue from a yet-to-be-determined location. 3 staff are being retained. The Seniors House Call program was relocated and renamed during the pandemic. The clinic declined further comment. Wayne Mantica, CTV News, Regina.
Starting today, parents will be offered an additional layer of protection for their newborns before going home from the hospital. RSV, one of the most common reasons babies are hospitalized during the winter months, often causing bronchiolitis or pneumonia. Saskatchewan begins the rollout of this new immunization program today, and it ensures that all parents can protect their newborns from serious lung infections that are caused by RSV. The antibody shot is now available at 17 locations where babies are born in Saskatchewan. It'll last into March, which is the peak RSV season.
It's highly effective at preventing severe RSV. So what we've seen in clinical studies and in real-world data is that the risk of severe RSV and hospitalization after nirsevimab goes down by about 90%. And that's over many studies.
With so many remote areas in Saskatchewan, health officials feel this immunization will be positive for the healthcare system overall, and that includes freeing up beds in hospitals. Well, 1 week after the release of a federal audit that flagged more than $34 million in spending by the FSIN, the organization is sharing its side of the story. Keenan Soerkon has the latest.
The FSIN says it categorically rejects the suggestion that millions of dollars in expenses are unaccounted for. It remains confident and optimistic Indigenous Services Canada will find that all expenditures are eligible. The FSIN has still not agreed to an interview, but sent media a 10-page release responding to each allegation it faces after Indigenous Services Canada flagged more than $34 million of spending as either ineligible, questionable, or unsupported. In the document, the FSIN says it handed over receipts and invoices for everything, but can't go through each expense because Indigenous Services has not provided them the full brief, only the summary that's available online, despite multiple requests. The FSIN alleges KPMG, who performed the audit, gave 10 days to respond to a list of over 700 questions and line items, which KPMG then took 10 weeks to review. The FSIN goes on to say KPMG did not include a number of documents and justifications FSIN provided last month before the summary report came out. The FSIN says it gave invoices and receipts for more than $23 million of COVID-19 funding that was flagged. It says funding flowed through the FSIN to each First Nation, and all spending followed funding agreements and was approved. The FSIN finished by saying it has a robust system of transparency and accountability developed over decades, and says the process followed by KPMG seems intended to set them up for failure. Keenan Sora-Khan, CTV News, Saskatoon.
One person was injured in Regina after a driver hit a pedestrian on Dutney Avenue. It happened around 10:30 on Tuesday morning in the Dutney Avenue and Rupert Street area. Traffic was rerouted for several hours. The investigation is ongoing. 3 people face charges over an August jewelry store robbery in Regina. It happened on the 400 block of Albert Street North on August the 8th. The total value of goods taken from smashed display cases totaling more than $200,000. Last month, 2 suspects were picked up by Warman RCMP, then a third in Edmonton 2 weeks later. The 3 face a slew of charges over the robbery, along with crimes related to stolen identity, forgery, and counterfeit money. With new executives at the Real Exhibition Association Limited District, Regina's executive committee is optimistic about the organization's future. Sierra D'Souza Butts has more on Wednesday's executive committee meeting, which included the redevelopment of the old sites of Taylor Field.
Regina's executive committee says the Real Exhibition Association Limited's request to reallocate a portion of its funding is a step in the right direction.
This is a result of basically a deep dive into finance and house cleaning and dotting the I's and crossing the T's and moving things in the right place.
The committee unanimously approving City Administration's recommendation to allow Real to move $850,000 of its debt funding to support operating shortfalls for this year's budget, along with reallocating almost $200,000 of unused capital funding for 2025 expenses.
Through cash flow management, through earlier payment timing from the city, lower interest rates, we're going to be better than expected on that spending, and we're thinking that it'd be prudent to move that $850,000 over to operating in order to pay down our line of credit that has been built up over the course of previous administrations, and to get Real back in a financially healthy spot.
The redistribution of cash does not include any new funding from the city. Executive committee also voting 8-1 in favor of recommending the city invest over $700,000 into the Taylor Field redevelopment project.
We need to develop this land, there's no doubt about it, but is there an appetite for developers to actually hit the ground running and put some shovels in the ground and start doing some building on it?
The funds coming from the Land Development Reserve will be used to start planning the early stages of designing the site, along with getting the infrastructure in place, potentially bringing in more revenue for the city.
Anything where we have some new development in areas like this tends to increase the value and livability of that area, therefore making the properties in this area go up and relatively then be paying more in taxes.
All recommendations made by Executive Committee will be brought forward to City Council on October 8th for final approval. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
Rafferty Dam near Estevan is receiving $15 million in infrastructure upgrades. The main part of the project focuses on repairs of the drainage system near the spillway, which will improve functionality during high flow times. That's going to cost about $10 million. $2.5 million will be used to improve the diversion channel from Boundary Dam, which will help maximize water capture rather than the water flowing to the Souris River. And another $2.5 million provided to the RM of Estevan to narrow Rafferty Road. It was initially built wider for construction of the dam and was pretty much costly to maintain.
The dam has been around for about 30 years, and so with any major infrastructure, upgrades need to happen to make sure it's safe. And so we recognized after the 2011 flood that some improvements needed to be done, and so that's why, as I said, about 5 years ago, we put in a plan to study the rehab of all of our major structures, and this being one of them.
Construction will finish this fall and be ready in time for spring next year. If you make minimum wage, you're getting a raise today. The province has increased the minimum wage to $15.35 an hour. That puts Saskatchewan ahead of Alberta, who remains at $15 an hour. The province says it calculates the minimum wage using an index formula that gives equal weight to changes to the Consumer Price Index and the average hourly wage for Saskatchewan. Sabine joins us for our first look at weather, and we saw a little bit of sprinkling of rain earlier today, but once the clouds disappeared, man, it got warm out there.
It did. Regina got it warm up to about 25 degrees late this afternoon, Lee. So the warm temperatures aren't completely gone yet, but we will start to see a cool down approaching as we near the weekend into the beginning of next week. Doesn't necessarily say all those 20-degree days are completely gone just yet for this year. We'll talk more about that in your forecast. But as Lee mentioned, we did start off the day mostly in southern Saskatchewan, seeing some scattered precipitation, more like sun showers. The sun started to come out, and we still saw some scattered rain, some rain showers in the morning. But after that, as you can see on the radar satellite, for much of the day, it was mostly clear. Did see more cloud cover rolling through the north. Current temperature still sitting quite nice. In many areas, we're still seeing the 20s, particularly the southeast, 23 for Weyburn, Estevan area. And even in Regina right now, we're at 21. Now, the average is about 15, 16 degrees. We got up to 25. I'll let you know how cool it's about to get in your full forecast. Lee?
Thank you, Sabine. Well, of course, a lot of people wearing those orange shirts yesterday in honor of Truth and Reconciliation Day. But, of course, it's about way more than just the color of your shirt. It's also about hearing the stories from residential school survivors. Sierra D'Souza Butts has more on the experiences of one woman from the Muskowhegan First Nation.
As part of her healing journey, Merle Buffalo is sharing her family's history of 3 generations affected by Canada's residential school system through a blanket project.
It answered a lot of questions as to why my parents were the way they were, why my grandparents were the way they were, why I never knew anything about my culture, you know, or who I was as a Native woman.
Each of the 5 blankets display a different message, one showcasing the reality of what Indigenous people went through at residential schools, another illustrating Buffalo's experience, along with a star blanket acknowledging everything that represents Indigenous people.
I'm living proof that these atrocities did happen. So when they look at my blanket, I hope they have the courage and, you know, the strength to go on that journey that I'm on.
Reflecting on the history of people affected by residential schools, people in Regina are honoring the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation by wearing orange and listening to survivors' stories. While the day brings a time of painful reflection, organizers say it also symbolizes a path towards moving forward.
It's very important to actually take the time to listen to the people that experienced residential schools. 7 generations of people went through it, and the oldest, of course, are no longer here. The youngest ones could be about 35 years old.
Adding, people can do their part in reconciliation by reading a book, watching a movie, or going to events, so survivors' stories are not forgotten.
This is what this represents, my healing journey. So every time I look in the mirror, I am reminded that I have to stay, you know, on that good path and to love everybody from the heart.
Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
Well, there's hope for PV Mart customers in Saskatchewan. New ownership is preparing to reopen several stores in Alberta. The rebooted version of the company says it's confident in a relaunch of its initial 4 stores, so it is now looking to target openings in other former Prairie locations, and that includes those in Saskatchewan. At this point, the company wants to reopen 7 to 12 stores as a second group of investors is onboarded, but there is no set timeline. And the golden era of boy bands may have come and gone, but are you ready for a middle-aged boy band? So this musical parody and comedy show features a boy band that simply never was. The comedy department was co-founded by Denise Jones, a graduate of the U of S Fine Arts program. Jones describes the show as Whose Line Is It Anyway meets the Backstreet Boys.
You know, we see this sort of glamorous version of what boy bands are doing right now, like the Backstreet Boys in Vegas, but we're sort of like really doing what it might be actually like for people our age, you know, sore knees, aching backs, but then we put in some improv comedy as well to sort of like really make it an entertainment night.
Middle-aged boy band will take to the stage at Dark Hall in Regina Thursday evening at 7:30. The group is also performing in Moose Jaw, Saskatoon, and Prince Albert. Still ahead, Alberta is proposing a new pipeline under Ottawa's major projects mandate, and a massive search for a missing 6-year-old boy in a Crow's Nest Pass is called off.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could win $20,000. For your chance to win, watch CTV Your Morning Saskatchewan, weekday mornings 6 to 9.
The province of Alberta is renewing its push for a new oil pipeline to the West Coast, making the proposal themselves under the federal government's major projects mandate. It will work with 3 Canadian crude pipeline operators, Enbridge, Trans Mountain, and South Bow. The group will research a route to consult with stakeholders to put together an application that will eventually make it to Ottawa. The province says they've already started consultations with Indigenous groups along a potential pipeline route. The province is putting up $14 million of taxpayer funds to support early planning work, but Danielle Smith, the Premier, says she doesn't want government to operate it.
Well, we've limited our risk because we've allocated $14 million to get it through the first couple of stages of technical design. I just have confidence that if we fix the investment climate and get an agreement with the federal government to move forward on this on the major projects list, that proponents will step up and it will be built with private sector money.
The search for Darius McDougall has been called off as RCMP say the 6-year-old is likely dead. The autistic boy has been missing in the Crow's Nest Pass area since September 21st. A 22-square-kilometer area of difficult mountain terrain has been searched to no avail. RCMP say all researchers have now left the area. Investigators insist their work will continue until Darius is found and are now relying on tips from the public. In BC, police are investigating after shots were fired at a radio station that services the South Asian community.
Everyone has a right to go to work and be safe.
Radio host and former provincial politician Ginny Sims says no one was injured and police say no one was inside when bullets struck the front door of Radio Swift 1200 AM in Surrey. Today, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre addressed the incident in the House of Commons.
Swift Radio was hit with a third extortion-related gunfire attack just yesterday. I spoke with owner Colwant Desi, who had invited me to his station earlier. He said his family cannot sleep. This joins with countless other examples in Brampton, Surrey, and now in a spate of shootings in Laval.
Investigators believe this shooting was extortion-related. RCMP is investigating a disturbing incident connected to supporters of a BC ostrich farm that have set up camp to protect the flock. The Mounties have arrested a man who allegedly tried to set fire to an elderly neighbor and her home. Judy Trin has more.
What is going on? We're dealing with another issue altogether.
Last week, when the RCMP descended on the Universal Ostrich Farm to assist the Canadian Food Inspection Agency in a planned cull, the Mounties were sidetracked by a chilling 911 call.
I was so into the fear that I was going to get lit on fire.
Lois Wood says that just after sunrise, she saw a masked man dressed in black pouring gas around her home. When she confronted him, the intruder threw gas on her. The 72-year-old went into fight mode.
This is primal. This is survival. And I bit his upper arm as hard as I could, and he punched me in the face and knocked me down.
Wood's home is next to the ostrich farm. Since the government ordered the flock destroyed after avian flu was detected,
You know this is wrong.
dozens of supporters have set up camp to protect the birds. Police say they have arrested a suspect.
We believe he was attached to the protest camp.
A Conservative MP is also urging the Agriculture Minister to stop the slaughter and is cautioning supporters to stay calm.
Any violence or anything off that
moves from the beaten path of peaceful protest is going to result in bad things for the ostriches. Political support will dry up.
The farm's owners say they helped remove the suspect and that their supporters are not a threat. In a statement, spokesperson Katie Pisitny questioned why mainstream media would choose to publish a negative and false representation of the farm, just as the country's highest court was weighing whether it deserved a chance at justice. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency's cull of more than 300 ostriches is on hold, waiting for the Supreme Court to decide if it will hear the case. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Scientist and global activist Jane Goodall has died. The news confirmed today by the Jane Goodall Institute that she founded. Goodall turned her childhood love of primates into a lifelong quest for protecting the environment. Her discoveries revolutionized science as she was a tireless advocate for the protection of animals and the natural world. Goodall was 91 years old. Coming up, a Regina softball player is set to represent Canada at the Pan Am qualifiers in Argentina.
Trying to get back in the win column. Thursday on Your Morning, we're getting Grey Cup champion Wes Cates' thoughts ahead of their tilt, the Riders against Ottawa this weekend.
Welcome back. As we were talking about earlier, saw another very nice warm day in the Queen City. As we take a look outside through our Skycam, yes, the leaves are turning. It's officially fall, but we still had some very warm temperatures. Currently sitting at 21 degrees, warmed up to 25. It was a pretty windy afternoon. Those wind gusts were up to close to 50 for most of the afternoon. They have since settled. We're currently seeing those winds at about 20 kilometers an hour right now. We will see the winds pick back up in the next couple of days, but in terms of conditions, not a whole lot going on. We do have some rain on the way, not till Friday though. So this is what we did have coming up across the province over the last few hours. Again, most of that rain's scattered precipitation in the northwest area. And then as we head into tonight, we will see a little bit of that cloud cover return just from what we're seeing in northern Saskatchewan. Again, they're going to continue to see some scattered precipitation. And as we head into Thursday, we have more of this cloud cover that's going to make its way into Saskatchewan, coming from Alberta. So Thursday will be a mix of sun and cloud throughout the day. Later in the afternoon, you can see a little bit more of that cloud cover coming through central southern Saskatchewan, where we'll see some of that cloud cover. And then as we head into Thursday night, a little rain expected for the Parkland, but it's not until about Friday afternoon that we start to see more of that rain. So first thing Friday morning, we will see some pockets of precipitation in the southwest, but then there's this long stream of rain that's going to come through starting in the southwest, and it'll reach all the way into the Parkland. So by late afternoon, Maple Creek, Swift Current, Regina, Yorkton, Moose Jaw could all expect to see some rain, and that rain looks like it's going to linger around for most of the evening as well. By the time we get into your overnight, late night, we could still see a little bit of that precipitation. But in terms of what you can expect for rainfall totals, as of right now, it's looking, even with that system we're seeing around Assiniboia for Saturday morning, anywhere between about 1 to 3 millimeters. Regina, Moose Jaw area could see 1 to 2 millimeters of rain Friday, and that's pretty much it. Temperatures, though, still staying above seasonal, if not around seasonal if you're far north. La Loche 13 tomorrow, 14 for La Ronge, and then 17 for Lloydminster, Prince Albert. Lloydminster expecting to see some foggy conditions there as well, as is North Battleford, warming up to 18 tomorrow, 21 and mainly sunny for Saskatoon, 23 and mainly sunny for Yorkton, and even the lows tonight still warmer than the average of about 1 or 2 degrees. So we're going to see warm temperatures tonight into tomorrow, 22 for Maple Creek and Swift Current, 24 mainly sunny for Moose Jaw in the southeast, a little warmer. Weyburn, Estevan, 26 is the expected daytime high, mainly sunny there, and 24 with a mix of sun and cloud for Assiniboia. For Regina, tonight, 9 degrees, winds up to 35 kilometers an hour, calming down to about 25 tomorrow, and the temperature also 25 and mainly sunny. And then you'll see the cool down as we take a look at your next 7 days. So 25 mainly sunny tomorrow. As we saw on the tracker Friday, expect cloudy conditions for much of the day along with some scattered precipitation in the late afternoon. 21 is the expected daytime high there. Saturday 18 with a mix of sun and clouds. Sunny, or a mix of sun and cloud on Sunday. Windy though. Winds gusting up to 60 and a much cooler day expected. Cooler than average on Sunday. 10 degrees and then the low dipping to 0. For Sunday and Monday, expecting those temperatures actually to dip even cooler than 0. Could see that low drop below to about -1, -2. We're almost there. And then Monday as well, a cooler day, 13, but that is average, 0 for the low. Winds still picking up to about 50 kilometers an hour. And then we'll see the winds calm and those temperatures warm up by a couple of degrees. But again, we're into October. Those temperatures are going to near a little bit more to what our average is, which is about anywhere between 13 to 15 degrees. So the cool down is coming, but we're still going to see a couple of 20-degree days later down in the long-range forecast too.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Means it's sweater.
Weather.
Exactly. Very exciting times. Thank you, Sabine.
Thank you.
Plus, fall's our favorite season, so. Two Saskatchewan softball players headed to Argentina to represent Canada at Pan Am qualifiers. Brett Slusar from Saskatoon and Kian Poitras from Muskowhegan First Nation. Damian Smith caught up with Kian at the airport today.
Headed off to Argentina for the Pan Am qualifiers, 18-year-old Kian Poitras will be representing Canada for the first time on the world stage in softball.
It's an unreal feeling. You know, I've dreamed this moment since I was young, and you know, just to be here now, it's pretty special and something I probably won't forget the rest of my life.
A member of the Muscopedian First Nation, his family always saw the talent at an early age. In the winter, Kian would live in Regina to play hockey and would head to Muscopedian for the summers to work on ball. When Team Canada coaches let him know that he made the qualifiers, it was certainly a fitting setting.
I was actually in the middle of a baseball game, and I heard my phone ringing, and then answered it, and it turned out to be the Team Canada coaches letting me know that.
His father, JJ, also played at a high level in Saskatchewan and was in shock when he heard about the opportunity ahead.
Phoned me right away, and he's like, "Dad, Team Canada called me." I was like, I didn't know what to say. I went quiet for a few minutes there, and because he's always lying to me. We always lie. So I was like, "Are you for real?" He's like, "Yeah, Dad, they really called." And I was proud at the time.
His father says that Kian's success isn't from talent alone, willing to put in the work every day, even after his grad night this past spring.
The night of his grad, he didn't go out on grad party. He went to play baseball, traveled to BC right after the grad ceremony, and just the dedication he loves the game.
Kian will have a few days to practice with Team Canada, and his family will arrive very shortly on October 5th, which is when the qualifying games do begin. Damian Smith, CTV News, Regina.
Still ahead, a pair of riders have already cracked the 1,000-yard milestone with 4 games to go.
Wardrobe consideration in part by Colin O'Brien Men's Shop.
The Riders will have a new place kicker Friday in Ottawa. Brett Lawther has been declared out with a back injury, so that means Campbell Fair will get the call kicking for the Riders. Now, Lawther missed 2 of his 4 field goal attempts last weekend in Edmonton. Both those misses were at 50 yards or more. Now, the last time the Saskatchewan Roughriders had a 1,000-yard rusher and a 1,000-yard receiver in the same season was 6 years ago. Until now. Donovan Mace has more.
A.J. Ouellette's second season in Saskatchewan is already a career year.
Do you feel like you're playing your best football of your career right now?
I do. I feel like I'm moving well. I'm seeing the game well, and I'm a little bit older, so I'm communicating what I want and what I'm seeing out there. Yeah, everything's feeling good right now.
And now the tailback has surpassed the 1,000-yard mark for just the second time.
Over 1,000 and still counting. A.J. Ouellette gets it down to the Edmonton 20.
Ouellette last reached 1,000 yards in 2023 as a member of the Argos, barely crossing the mark that season.
Touchdown, Saskatchewan Roughriders, and what a drive for their leading rusher.
This year, he set career highs for yards on the ground and is on pace to do so catching the ball as well.
Every game, just stacking the run game with the O-line, building confidence for the OC to call it in clutch situations.
But he's not the only rider reaching a milestone.
And it's into the Edmonton zone, and Keyshawn Johnson officially going over 1,000 yards receiving this season.
Receiver Keyshawn Johnson also reaching 1,000 yards through the air.
It's an accomplishment that all receivers want to hit, and it's something that I was able to do. But my main goal was when I came here was to win games and get to the last game of the season.
2025, just the second CFL season for the Fresno State product, breaking out with the Riders dealing with a slew of injuries to the receiving core.
I give credit to my coach, to my quarterback, having faith in me and to make the play on second down and for our team. And I take pride in that.
Nothing gives me as a quarterback more happiness than to see AJ get a lot of rushing yards and see Keyshawn hit that milestone.
Now, with still 4 games remaining on the regular season, the Riders could have yet another receiver join Johnson in that 1,000-yard club, with Dante Myers just over 100 yards away from also crossing that mark. Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
7th play of the drive. Rankin back in. Play action fake. Deep shot wide open. At the 5. Hilaire.
Now, while the defense remains the best in the league as far as giving up points, they do continue to give up big plays. 6 plays against the Elks, going for more than 20 yards on the ground or 30 through the air. And being without defensive backs Devon Campbell, Jackson Ford, and Nelson Lacombo again this week, the team says communication, regardless of who is in the lineup, will be key to eliminating those breakdowns in coverage.
When you got a brand new safety in there and a brand new corner, it's kind of hard, especially with our defense, how it's set up for the corners and frees to be communicators and make plays. So I think we got to just get right there. But I think we've been doing a good job at just playing together. We got to keep on doing that.
If you have a lack of discipline or a lack of judgment, man, it could cost you, right? So, we've got, a handful of examples of that. I would just hope that we take heed to that. And I know the guys know, man. It's not like they're trying to mess stuff up. But, again, just goes back to making sure that we're over-communicating.
And welcome to another edition of X's and O's with West Cates. An important stretch for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They're 2 games up on Calgary for first in the West Division. They've got Ottawa and Toronto next, the 2 lowest teams as far as records are concerned. So you got to win these 2 and put themselves in good position. But they haven't been playing well, West, the last couple of games. So let's look at it. They've got Ottawa coming up here in Ottawa. Drew Brown will probably be quarterback. And if you go all the way back to week 1, he threw for over 400 yards against the Riders. And they keep being susceptible to those deep plays. Another game against Edmonton where they gave up at least 3 plus 30-yard passes.
Yeah, Lee, and just the way, you mentioned it, the way the Riders have been playing has not been impressive. They get off to slow starts. They've had turnovers. They haven't really been able to finish. They actually did a good job of really trying to finish against Edmonton last week, but it was too little too late. You're down a couple scores and you battle back and give yourself a chance at the end, and then you have another mess up and don't really complete the 2-point play because of player error, not really because of any great play that the opposition made. So when you take that into effect, luckily we're going into what you would call a weaker part of the schedule with Ottawa and Toronto coming up. But the way the league has been going right now, I wouldn't take any matchup as an automatic win. Obviously Ottawa being at the bottom of the league, they better win. They got to get it together. The Riders do. I think they've been talking a little too much talking, not enough action out of the Riders right now. It's getting a little frustrating. I'm sure for the fans, but for me as a former player watching, I'm like, what gives? Something's got to give. They've got to get off to better starts.
Yeah. And it's funny that we're talking about a 10-4 team like this, but this is the way it is when you lose 2 games like this, when you should be up right now and Calgary's losing and you have a chance to expand your lead. Offensively, I'm getting concerned about Trevor Harris. There's just something about his game right now where it's off. He was overthrows, interceptions. What's your concern level right now?
I know mentally he's there. I know he sees the field fine, but I think he's a little hesitant. Maybe his body's talking to him. Maybe he's losing some strength. I don't know how his in-season workout is, but he looked like he just didn't have much on the balls that he threw. I remember distinctly the one in route to a Joe that he pretty much just threw at his feet when he was wide open, and then a couple of those just kind of lofting it over the middle. That's never never the type, if you're throwing in the middle in traffic, Lee, you got to be zipping that ball in there. And he kind of just lofted a couple in the middle, and that's easy to tip or make one-handed catches with as a defender when you're just tossing it over the middle and not really, really trying to zip it in there and put it on the receiver. So just his decision-making and giving the ball or putting the ball in harm's way hasn't been great. But like I said, he's still accurate, still understands concepts, and I feel like maybe he's just going through a little lull in the season, and hopefully he'll just pick it up just physically, because I know it's not a mental thing. I just think he's not putting it all together right now.
Okay, we'll see if he can do things against Ottawa. Final question I got to ask you. I'm in a position now, even though there were two 50-plus yard field goals, I'm in a position where let's give Campbell Fair a chance. You have him on your practice roster. Let's see if he can kick. What are your thoughts on Brett Lawther right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly doesn't have much confidence right now. I mean, obviously he's got a leg, but and he's got the power to get it there. And I'm just wondering why the coaches are really putting him in these positions, right? If you got a kicker who's struggling, you really don't want to trot him out there for anything more than maybe a 45-yarder. Those 50-yarders, when you've got a chance, maybe you just punt and pin them deep, or you go for it. But to put a kicker who's struggling in those situations, I mean, I'm sure if they ask, he's probably saying, yeah, I'll go make it. But as a coach right now, coaching staff, you got to be a little leery of making that decision and not really put him in that situation. And the Riders D kind of giving up long points, but not really, or long plays, but not really a lot of points. I mean, you still have to kind of play into the turnover factor there, but these quarterbacks understand that a lot of times it's going to be zone, or they're going to get a favorable one-on-one matchup, and I think a lot of offensive coordinators are keying in on that with this Riders defense.
All right, well, in Ottawa this week, they've got to win this one. Ottawa with a record of 4-10, the reverse of the Riders. You got to take care of your chances and try to stay up 2 on Calgary. So we'll analyze that game, plus we'll get you prepared for their next home game against the Toronto Argonauts next week on another edition of X's and O's.
X's and O's, brought to you by Campion College at the University of Regina.
Coming up, honoring residential school survivors in Yorkton.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at your rural forecast heading into tomorrow. Again, starting to see a little bit of a cool down, but the temperatures are still warmer than the average and still expecting to see some sunshine in your day. Lloydminster could expect some foggier conditions tomorrow, but 17 is the expected daytime there. Meadow Lake 16, 18 for Melfort, Spiritwood also 16, and then we get a little warmer into the 20s for areas like Kindersley, Outlook, Watrous, Wynyard, all expecting to get into the low 20s as your daytime high, and then closer to the southern border, some areas a little warmer, others still in the 20s, but 20 degrees for East End Cypress, 22 for Maple Creek, 21 for Rosetown Leader, Lumsden and Pilot Butte 25, 26 for Coronach, and then the southeast 24 for Broadview and Carlisle. Taking a closer look at Delisle, internet speeds up to 1 gig available now through SaskTel. 21 is the expected high tomorrow. Mainly sunny conditions with the winds anywhere between 10 to 20 kilometers an hour.
Yesterday, a crowd of people wearing orange shirts walked across the city of Yorkton to remember those impacted by the residential school system. Regina DeClute has the details about the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation in the Parkland region.
Residents in Yorkton gather to remember the children, families, and communities affected by the residential school system on the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation.
When we first started our orange shirt walk, there was probably only about 30 people in our walk. Now we've grown to about 800 people.
Among the crowd are survivors and their families. Both of Dawn Sinclair's parents were sent to residential schools. She says people need to talk, teach, and acknowledge what happened.
About it because we don't want people to forget that these types of schools existed, and we never want to see them happen again to any population, not just Indigenous. But everybody should be able to grow up in their own homes with love and support and body autonomy.
The memorial walk started at the Yorkton Tribal Council's building on King Street and ended with speeches at the City Centre Park.
park, because for some people who can't make it, we still want them to experience it. We still want them to see it. We still want them to question, what's going on over there? Why is everybody wearing orange shirts?
She hopes that people start wearing the orange shirt on other days as well.
It doesn't just have to be on September 30th.
The Tribal Council offers programs and materials to anyone, but Sinclair says it's important to look at the human stories.
But there's tons of people that still have experiences that they can share with other people. They're still here. They're still walking around.
Ensuring that the memories of the children lost in the residential school system live on. Regina, CTV News, Yorkton.
All right, time to take a look at the stock markets, and they were both on the way up today. The TSX went by 84 points upwards, the Dow Jones by 43 points upwards. As for the Canadian dollar, it went the other way, down a little more than 1/10 of a cent to 71.73 cents U.S. Commodity front, gold up $6.78. West Texas Intermediate crude, that dropped by 57 cents, while Western Canadian Select crude dropped by $1.14. It's selling for $50.39 a barrel. And gas right now in Regina, seen no movement, at least as of today. You're currently sitting at $1.35.9 cents per liter.
The U.S. is taking a 5% stake in a Canadian mining company. Lithium Americas is based in Vancouver, but it's developing a lithium mine in Nevada. Lithium is a critical mineral used to make batteries for electric vehicles. Washington has started picking up stakes in companies it sees as critical to boosting the economy. Amazon is expanding its online retail business, launching a private label grocery brand. It will have dairy, meat, and fresh produce for sale. Most products will be under $5. And you may have to pay for your carry-on, but Air Canada now says the economy cabin passengers will get free wine and beer. Some Canadian-made snacks will also be free. The airline says it's trying to elevate the economy experience. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marella Fernandez.
Coming up tonight after the newscast, shifting gears with Tim Allen, followed by George and Mandy's first marriage, double of that. The Amazing Race at 8:30. That's the American one, because the Canadian one's done.
Right.
And then 10 o'clock is The Floor. That's a game show, in case you haven't checked.
Really?
Yes. It's about
I love that
the
you're
floor.
on top of all
They
this.
throw candies on the floor, and you pick them up as fast as you can. That's not the game. There's a new winner for the annual Fattest Bear competition in Alaska.
Chunk.
There he
A
is.
towering brown bear with a broken jaw swept the competition. This is his first win after narrowly finishing in second place in 3 previous years.
Always the bridesmaid.
Chunk's weight was estimated at 1,200 pounds. The annual online competition allows viewers to follow 12 bears in Alaska's Katmai National Park on live webcams and cast ballots. And I said that before, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Try again.
And he did.
We'll have to find out later what his success story was.
Chunk.
A lot of fish.
Okay, well, as if these two things weren't difficult enough on their own, this matchup put both chess and Rubik's Cube skills to the test.
I do have a lot of patterns in chess, while the cubers has to have incredible thousands of patterns as well.
So the inventor of the Rubik's Cube, Erno Rubik, along with a Hungarian chess grandmaster, launched the first ever Rubik chess tournament. So teams of 2 face off, with one player handling the chess game and the other solving the cube. At 3 random times, a gong interrupts the match of chess, and players race to solve the Rubik's Cube. The player that finishes the fastest gives their chess partner a crucial time advantage.
I would not survive this.
Takes me a lot to do a Rubik's Cube. Although
Have you completed one?
I have, but our director Alex can do it like that when he's hydrated.